championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Christian Rasmussen. 27 drivers set to go, and let's do that right now. Fire them up. We are on pit lane here. Two of our guests from Cooper Tires to give the command to fire these engines.
Road to
Indy drivers, start your engines.
And with that, engines coming to life down here on pit lane. A ton of guests here from Cooper Tire. Great to have you here. 27 drivers. Hello to those of you listening and watching on the Road to Indy TV app. John Fittman, we got ourselves a great race. Race 2 for USF 2000 about to roll off.
Absolutely. A great race yesterday. Michael D'Orlando, on the strength of that win, moved up into second in the points from fourth coming into this weekend. He's now only 30 points behind Kiko Porto. Porto starting on the pole, looking for a chance to redeem himself after leading 13 laps in yesterday's race. Finally had to give that up, and or 12 laps, excuse me. Finally had to give that up in the last handful of laps and turn it over to Michael D'Orlando, but Kiko was able to hang on for a second place finish. The field rolls away behind the safety car. There'll be a single pace lap. We'll get the start right here in front of us in the Cooper Tires press tower. Let's head it out to Rusty Bell to follow the field around on the pace lap.
Pace car making its way out of the pit lane or the pit exit. A lot of these drivers spinning up the rear tires, trying to get a little bit of heat. Watching it now as they are making it up into the keyhole turn now. Lights still on the pace car, but we'll expect those to go out as we come around the carousel to get the start here in just a moment. But the field now still streaming out of the pit lane. Giant field of cars here. 28 cars eligible. I think we heard 27 cars will be in today's race, and they are making their way around the keyhole turn onto the back straightaway, as there are still some cars coming out of the pit lane. That's how big this field of cars is. Making its way down the straight right now, setting a very slow pace lap at the moment as the cars weave back and forth to get a little bit of heat and clean the rocks off the tires, as they will be making their way by my announce position here and down into the S's here in just a moment. But big group of cars, a lot of work going on trying to get some heat into these tires. We see a number of drivers have elected to start on sticker tires. About half the field that I can see go by on sticker tires. The field down in front of Tom now.
Yep, they're just now going through turn number 4. Pace car moves by us here. Number 12 car, Kiko Porto. That brilliant blue and white with the iridescent green on the rollover loop. Field heads over through turn 7 to turn 8.
Coming into turn 9 here, the pace car comes around. We'll see if he still has his lights on. Yes, he does. Have not seen them go off quite yet. And coming up to turn 11, I can't quite tell if the lights are on or off.
Lights are off on the pace car. Rob Howden has joined me here in the booth. Rob, looking at the points after yesterday's race, Michael D'Orlando moving up into second, only 30 points back. And the guy who had the tough break yesterday, Prescott Campbell, got caught up in that first lap incident with Miles Rowe. He went from 6th to 9th.
Yeah, really, really tough for Prescott. But again, the two drivers up front in points, Kiko Porto, Michael D'Orlando, that's how they'll line up. And they are 2 by 2 getting ready to come out of the carousel as we get set to start the second event of the triple header for the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship here at Mid-Ohio. Out of 13, Porto will be the one to punch off, and he goes green, green, green.
Porto.
Aaron Likens throwing that flag at start, finish, and away they go down into turn number 1 right now.
3 wide.
Porto holds the spot. Good move to the inside as well there, I believe, for Thomas Nepthu. Eric Evans coming into pit lane here right now in front of it. Look, here we are, 3-4 wide coming up into turn number 2, the keyhole for the first time, John. Looks to be like, yep, good start there for the leader, Porto, holding the spot. D'Orlando sliding into second. This will be that big run down the straightaway now. Still 2-3 wide. Again, you could lose it here on the opening lap, but man, it's also a great opportunity to overtake some drivers.
Yeah, Simon Sykes slotting back into third spot. Kind of a replay of what we saw in the first race yesterday. Let's hope they can make it through turn 4 without anybody getting knocked off the track.
Parker Thompson, I talked about it in the pre-show, how a bunch of guys have done the first start. They got through turn 1 for the first time, these rookies. This is the second time. Now they start getting a little more aggressive, as you can see. 2, 3 wide coming through 5 down to turn number 6. Clean so far, though. Drivers doing a good job battling, giving each other just enough room to be able to get through the tight confines of 5, 6, and now 7. Hard to go too wide over the hill of turn number 9, John. We know that. A couple drivers trying it further back. When you're a driver on the inside with a bunch of wheel on it trying to tighten it up, you can lose the back of that car pretty quickly.
Exactly. By the time they get around to us, though, they're pretty much single file now through the carousel turn for the first time. And it looks like our pole sitter, Kiko Porto, out in front.
Prescott Campbell trying an outside move. You can see that there on the show. I think he's going to make that stick. Nice job, I believe. That's the 11 of Prescott Campbell. Let's see where he ends up slotting in coming through here after that move to get around the outside of Jackson Lee. So he goes to 13th. Indeed, Christian Brooks, the big starter, 13th to 8th on the opening lap for Christian Brooks as he's trying to recover here, save this weekend. Not a good qualifying for the California, but he is on the wheel big time here as he's trying to get forward. Porto the leader across the line, though. D'Orlando second. Simon Sykes in third again. 2 podiums in the last 3 races for Sykes. And it's Matt Round-Garrido up to 4th. Thomas Nepfu 5th. Nolan Siegel 6th. Billy Fraser 7th. Christian Brooks 8th. Spike Kohlbecker 9th, and Chase Denmark, John, rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Kohlbecker dropping back just a couple spots, but was able to get back around Chase Denmark to take over that 9th spot on the first lap.
Ooh, some aggressive racing there. Oh, Miles Rowe. One driver around further back. Miles Rowe, I believe, potentially to the back of Josh Green coming through turn 5. Could be damage for the 99 of Miles Rowe. We'll see. Incidental contact for sure. What you see a guy, John, putting his nose in 5, it's the right front to left rear kind of a thing. You're trying to see if you can't force the issue, but the driver on the outside's got the position going down into 6.
Indeed. Tom Michaels, was he able to get restarted?
Yeah, restarted, underway once again, but ahead of just 1 car.
Tough one there. Again, patience is the key for these young drivers. Again, just settling in here, then going to work. But again, you know how tough it is to pass here at Mid-Ohio. You take every opportunity you can. Rowe had a pretty good look up the inside of turn 5, but just wasn't there, John. One of the things, again, about this racetrack, your passes have to be decisive, right, to get it done. If you hesitate at all, you are lost.
Exactly right. Simon Sykes is looking really racy. He is closing up on the back of Michael D'Orlando. D'Orlando, of course, taking over the lead about 2/3 of the way through the race yesterday. Some good side-by-side racing going in the back, as it looks like Brooks and Siegel, I think, were side-by-side. We'll see as they come off the carousel turn. A little drafting going on. Now 3 wide in front of Rusty Bell.
Yeah, one of the drivers ducking to the inside there, John. I'm not sure if there could have been an issue as he may be pulling to the side and slowing up, and I think indeed he is. You can see that driver on the inside of the racetrack, one of the J. Howard driver development cars, fall into the tail of the field like there's been some kind of damage there. And the way they worked their way through, I'll tell you this. You said Christian Brooks pushing aggressively coming forward. In fact, yeah, here it is here. Well, he's still got the front wing on it. We'll see what happens with that car there as he comes back around, but definitely an issue for one of the J. Howard driver development cars. But up front, talking about Nolan Siegel, Simon Sykes, let's talk about that a little bit. I talked to him about a half an hour before the race, and I said, hey, man, congratulations, 3rd place. He goes, I want more.
Yeah.
A couple of podium finishes in his mind right now. It's like, that's the confidence flick, the flick of the switch. I can do it. The team can do it. We can win this race. And now he's starting to put some pressure here on Michael D'Orlando.
Yeah, that's causing D'Orlando to raise his game a little bit. His lap a little bit faster this time, but nobody as fast as Kiko Porto, as he has got about a 0.6 of a second lead as they work their way up to the keyhole.
Yeah, we're going to get a little replay here, folks, of the incident involving Miles Rowe. You can see Miles on the outside. Looks like he's got some pretty solid position coming up. The driver from the left coming across on him. Thinking about going up the inside, and the driver inside not going to give him any room either. And you can see a little bit of sideways action there with one of the, I'm trying to think which, that's one of the Pabst Racing drivers. And, of course, the spin further back for one of the J. Howard driver development cars. I believe that's Peter Vodanovich. So Vodanovich was the driver involved in the incident early, but it looked to me just like Rowe might have been up inside there, but the driver on the outside, the Pabst driver, wasn't giving him any room whatsoever, and indeed, Vodanovich into pit lane.
Yeah, Rowe for the 2nd race in a row, having trouble on the very first lap, but able to stay running, get himself back into the contention, as he is now in 14th spot.
Still 14th. Yeah, the driver went around, as we said, Peter Vodanovich. Tom Michaels gave us the update on that. Well back, able to continue and into pit lane to find out what's wrong there with Vodanovic. Drivers settling in and scrapping it out here now early on. Porto, D'Orlando, Sykes, Round-Garrido, and Nepthu. And we're going to watch the lap times here of Simon Sykes. This is the guy that knows how to win. He's struggled a little bit, doesn't have the funding, John, to be able to put together a full program. He's getting some great support from the good folks at Metalloid, running with Legacy Autosport. They're trying to establish their team. We can do well. We can get on the podium. They've shown that with a couple of podiums with Simon Sykes. But here's a guy that last year at Road America won 2 SCCA National Championship runoff events.
Yep.
That means this guy can wheel, right? He won Formula Continental, he won Formula F. We know he's got the skills.
Absolutely right. And right now he is just biding his time, I think, as we're working race lap 5. We've got 16 to go, 15 and a half basically. And if you look at the lap times of the top 3, they're within a 1/10 of a second of each other. In fact, Round-Garrido, who is running in 4th, that's a great recovery for Matt. He did not have a good day yesterday. He ended up recovering for an 8th place finish, but he's running in the top 5. Nepthu also up at the 5th spot. That's right where he finished yesterday, so good run for him. But Matt Round-Garrido looking better here today.
I'll tell you, another driver who had a couple of good laps here is Billy Fraser. Remember, Fraser started 6th, fell back to 8th, able to get by both Spike Kohlbecker and Nolan Siegel. We'll give a shout out to the Fraser family down in New Zealand. I believe Mom and Dad watching. I'm told there's a bunch of people watching in Dubai as well. So all you Billy Fraser fans, thank you so much for tuning in. We love your kid. He's awesome. We have a lot of fun with him, and he's obviously a great talent. We're going to see him back on the podium and potentially a race win. We hope we get him back here next year as well. Billy Fraser, a very talented young driver from New Zealand, coming out of the Toyota Racing Series and running with Exclusive Autosport. 4th at St. Petersburg earlier this year, and of course a great run yesterday to P4, and getting himself back up here as well. Fraser almost into the top 10 in points as well, currently 11th spot.
Yeah, as we look at the battles on the racetrack, Fraser in front of a train of 4 cars, absolutely nose to tail. Fraser, then Nolan Siegel, Spike Kohlbecker, Christian Brooks, all running together. And then just a half a second back to Jay Stenmark in the 10th spot. He's got Josh Green and Josh Pearson all over him. So great racing in the back half of the pack. Meanwhile, Sykes about a half a second behind D'Orlando in that battle for second.
Yeah, 0.6 of a second between first and second. A little bit of a gap there for Porto. In fact, D'Orlando's given himself a little bit of a room. I'm being told, is that maybe another spin? Or? All right, another issue for potentially the number 9 going around. I think that is, it's Vodanovic again. So he went back out and had another spin. So Peter Vodanovic having a rough time of it here so far today. Race Control giving us a little insight on what's happening on the track, away from what we're seeing, of course, on the screen. We'll take the time to say hello to everybody tuning into the Road to Indy TV app or on USF2000.com or roadtoindy.tv. Lots of ways to watch the coverage here. If you download the Road to Indy app on iTunes or Google Play, get a chance to follow all the action of the events here. Kiko Porto, D'Orlando, Sykes, Round-Garrido, Nepthu, and Fraser. I had mentioned earlier, because I was told that Nathan Bird wasn't going to be racing today, but he actually is in the field. I was maybe he's going straight from here over to Lucas Oil Raceway. I was told he was running a midget tonight. We were told he was only running the Friday and Sunday races. He's actually in the field. I didn't get a chance to introduce him. So Nathan Bird in the number 20 for Legacy Autosport, indeed in the field, up into 24th right now. He's only his first weekend running on the road course for USF 2000. Joined us for the Freedom 75 as well.
He must have a helicopter.
That's a possibility. That's a possibility. But again, yeah, being told that he's going to run a midget tonight at Lucas Oil Raceway. That'll be on track after the SRX event there. Kiko Porto looking to try to get the win. You can see him yesterday. He finished second, John. I was, of course, down at Tatis Victory Lane. He wasn't unhappy, but he wasn't thrilled. Right. You know, obviously still getting that point lead. He's got 30 points. That was pretty solid, but wasn't. P2 was okay, but wasn't real happy that D'Orlando was where he wanted to be. They'll see if it happens today. Maybe he turns it around.
Well, it looks like we've got a replay. Here we go all over again, because just as it looked like Porto was going to be able to eke out a bit of a lead and Sykes was going to challenge D'Orlando, D'Orlando has turned up the wick. He's lapping in the 22s. He has left Simon Sykes and is closing up on Kiko Porto. Cue the Jaws theme. I think D'Orlando is going to try to do the same thing he did yesterday.
We'll see the lap times. We'll keep watching the split. We'll keep watching those lap times. We'll see what happens. Sykes about a 1/10 of a second off, but still strong there in the 3rd position. He's got 2.5 seconds on Matt Round-Garrido. Christian Brooks now running in the 9th spot as he's trying to find a way by Spike Kohlbecker. We talked about Brooks coming from 13th and bring him up as he is in the top 5 in points, 74 points back. Josh Pearson a little further down the field. Pearson currently in the 12th spot. He started 16th, so we got a couple of spots for young Josh Pearson, just 16 years of age, out of Wilsonville, Oregon. 4th in the points right now. Even Sundar now back in the 15th position. Multi-time winner this year. Just having a rough go of it over the last couple of races. So Sundar back in 15th. He's currently 3rd in points, 55 back as they run on the racetrack. And Kiko Porto and Michael D'Orlando 1st and 2nd on the racetrack, John, and it's exactly where they sit in the championship standings as well.
Sundar and Pearson both got leapfrogged by D'Orlando on the strength of that win yesterday, as he went from 4th to 2nd in the points. So Sundar back into 3rd, Pearson in 4th, Christian Brooks in 5th, looking for some good points to see if he can make up some ground on the drivers in front of him. Then a bit of a gap back to this great battle. Kohlbecker, Green, Nepvo, and Campbell, all within just a handful of points of each other. Even Jay Stenmark in there. So all the way from 6th all the way down to 10th in points. Anybody's ball game. Just depends on who has a better race day.
Drivers coming out of turn number 13 to complete the lap number 8. Working lap number 9 now on track. Porto's lead just a half a second. You can see the gap there, and a little further back to Simon Sykes. Simon's got the cushion over to about 2.5 seconds back to Matt Round-Garrido, who's leading that next group. Thomas Nepfu, winner from Road America, back by about 4 or 5 car lengths. You see that there. There's Round-Garrido, Nepfu, then Fraser, Billy Fraser in the 6th position. Siegel 7th, Kohlbecker 8th, Brooks 9th, and Denmark 10th. I'll tell you, a strong rookie crop in this year, John. 28 drivers we've said in the field, a strong rookie group, and they're just starting to get better and better, right? Thomas Nepfu kind of leading the way with that group here today. Kohlbecker there in the 8th spot as well. Denmark right there. And again, some of the other rookies we've seen, Evan Stammer's been having a pretty good run as well. I think Evan's a kid that came in this year with 0 Formula car experience. The part of the Ignite karting program, the top superstar stud in the Ignite karting, wins all over the country in Ignite karting, which is a Margay program, an American-made spec chassis program that is just sweeping the karting world. But then a benefactor came in for there and said, hey, listen, we want to make sure these karting kids get a chance. So he came in, put the program together, the Ignite Autosport program together, Spike Kohlbecker and Evan Stammer. Evan literally went from racing go-karts, did the Lucas Oil School, did a couple of their races, Winter Series races, and then right into a USF 2000. And his graduation, his growth over the first half of the year has been stellar. Here he is running 16th position, normally just outside the top 20, 16th right now, and he was battling with some guys like Sundar for a while there who are in their 3rd year.
Absolutely right. It's so great to see these kids coming right out of karting into open wheel for the first time. I see a lot of that in the F4 Championship.
You do, yeah.
It's really great to see these kids and just watch their maturity.
Driver off in turn number 1, Tom Michaels. Do you see it?
That's car number 7.
So Chase Highland. And Tom, did you get a chance to see what happened out there? We barely saw it on TV.
He just went wide over the curb at turn 1, lost the rear end and spun it in the grass, trying to get back underway.
Thank you so much. Not the first time someone's done that. It won't be the last either. Parker Thompson, I talked about it in the pre-show. It is a high commitment corner, turn number 1. You're leveraging all the downforce you have in the race car, and all it takes is a little wiggle, or you don't quite get the turn in right, and the outside of that corner comes up pretty quickly.
Exactly. You sort of like, oh no.
Oh yeah.
You sort of see that one coming. Basically.
It comes quickly, but the oh no is kind of slower. That it's a tough corner for sure. There's a good fight here. That's the scrap right now behind Billy Fraser. That's Nolan Siegel. That's the same fight yesterday for 4th.
Yep.
Now they're fighting for, I believe, 6th. Yeah, 6th and 7th. But it was Siegel who was all over the gearbox of Billy Fraser throughout the race yesterday, running for 4th position. Right now for 6th, and right behind them, Spike Kohlbecker and Christian Brooks.
Kiko Porto maintaining the advantage. It's about a half a second right now as we look at the lap times. He was just a bit quicker than Michael D'Orlando on that last lap. Simon Sykes just another 3/10 slower, so he's fallen back about a 1.5 seconds behind D'Orlando. So once again, it's kind of turning into a 2-horse race at the front. We're into the second half of this race, 10 laps to go as we are working race lap number 11 right now.
Yeah, and just watching this train right now, Matt Round-Garrido's been able to build almost 0.8 of a second on Thomas Nepfu. He's got a half a second. And then it's like 3/10 between everybody. It's Nepfu, Fraser, Siegel, Kohlbecker, Brooks, Denmark, Green, Pearson, Campbell, Sundar, and then Miles Rowe. They're all right there. Then a 1.5 seconds back to Evan Stammer. It's just a huge train right now.
Yeah, everything from 15th all the way up into fifth spot, basically 10 cars, all running nose to tail. And you know what? We're now into the second half of the race. Tire management is beginning to be a problem because these drivers have to, have enough tire to get them into the third race, which is going on tomorrow. So, are these guys going to run out of rubber at the end of this thing and start falling back?
Well, and just the 3 sets, John, we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
Indeed, what have they saved? Are they saving a good set for tomorrow? Is this a set they qualified to put 20 laps on already? When we get to the end of this 20, what kind of fall off? Not so much even just losing the pace, but when you start losing grip, you can make mistakes, right?
Yep.
When you don't have that grip to save you, to correct an error you may have made, we could sometimes see issues. That's the big gap there between third back to fourth. Matt Round-Garrido, who's leading the exclusive Autosport crew here. They currently run in 4th, 6th, and 9th. But there's the gap to Simon Sykes. He really wanted a challenge for the race win, but now 1.7 back. Number 8 of Jackson Lee into pit lane here as well. So here's what Jackson's done, folks. He has come in and put on sticker tires. So here's the setup. We had one qualifying session. For those of you around the track and watching, of course, at home, one qualifying session, but 3 races. So the qualifying session set the grid for race number 1. For race 2, your second fastest lap, or your fastest lap in race 1. So we didn't see anything in race 1. For race 3, it's your second fastest lap or your fastest lap in race 2. So essentially what he's going to do right now, Jackson Lee's putting on fresh rubber. He's going to go out and try to smoke a lap down faster than his qualifying time to potentially work his way up the grid. He's going to leverage the tires. He's going to put 8 laps on the tires, 9 laps on the tires, but he needs to start up front. He does not want to be back where he was in 15th. He'd like to see himself in the top 10.
Exactly right. So he's basically sacrificing a good chance
Yep.
to get a good finish in this race in the hopes that he'll have a better starting position for race 3.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's a good strategy.
So again, working lap number 13 now, 12 down, 8 to go. The lead, only a half a second for Kiko Porto. But these two drivers have been the class of the weekend, John. They're first and second in the points. Kiko Porto and Michael D'Orlando, both race winners last year, and both right now ready to challenge for a championship as we're getting into our stretch run.
Identical lap times with 7.5 laps to go for Porto and D'Orlando. Again, it's almost a replay of what we saw yesterday, as it was Kiko Porto leading every lap up to lap 14, and then D'Orlando was able to draft by him down at turn 4, and then was able to drive away and make the win happen for him. And that was such a big points jump for Michael D'Orlando.
And that's the really interesting thing right now as well, John, is we are Indy Pro 2000, not so much. They still get to go to Gateway, Worldwide Technology Raceway. Indy Lights has got to go to the West Coast swing still. They're doing Portland, they're doing Laguna Seca. But really for USF 2000, the race tomorrow, and then just 5 more races. The triple header at New Jersey and the double header when we get back here in the first week of October. So really 6 races left in this championship, and things are starting to tighten up. Now you start wondering who really is still in a mathematical chance. Who would have to go to New Jersey and sweep the weekend to get themselves back into the fight. Porto and D'Orlando putting themselves in a great spot. Let's be real. Kiko Porto, 32 points up right now. And if he wins here, we said it'll be 32 points. That's big because that's almost a full day's worth of points. Porto looking to try to win the championship for D-Force Racing, the Brazilian in the number 12. Be guaranteed that his good buddy Eduardo Barrichello will be cheering him on. He raced with us last year. Eduardo heading over to Europe this year. We'd love to have him back on the road to Indy next year and a couple years from now. But otherwise, his good friend Kiko Porto now leading the way, the Brazilian for D-Force Racing. Still trying to hold off D'Orlando. And here's the thing, John. You said it's a carbon copy. We're replaying yesterday. But what did Kiko Porto learn that he could use to hold off D'Orlando this time?
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. Obviously, maybe his tires didn't last quite as long yesterday, and D'Orlando had a little more rubber on it under him as the 9 car back in. That's Vodanovic, as he's been in and out a couple times.
Same thing,
he's doing
tires.
The same thing,
yeah.
Sticker tires. He's going to try to get that fast lap.
But indeed, Kiko Porto, what do you learn from getting past? Have you managed your tires maybe a little bit better, as you said, midway through the race? I want to have better rubber at the end. He's got a bit of a gap here now, 0.6 of a second last time by as they come out back onto the front straightaway. There's drivers rocking their way through Thunder Valley. Cross start finish. There is the third place running Simon Sykes, Matt Round-Garrido, and Thomas Nepthu, 4th and 5th. No one else able to make any kind of moves here at this point. Matt Round-Garrido started 8th, rocketed up to 4th on the opening lap and has held that position. Great run for Matt, no doubt about it. Here comes the number 34 of Dylan Christie. He's going to pull the trigger on that as well. They'll put fresh rubber on for him to try to leapfrog a bit up the order. It's really the only issue we have with that kind of qualifying. We want to give the drivers as many races as we can. We only have 5 sessions to work on in this particular weekend. Obviously, we know Indy Pro and Indy Lights have practice, 2 qualifyings and 2 races. We're trying to give these young drivers more races, wheel-to-wheel races. But there's only 5 windows. There's only 5 sessions. So 1 practice, 1 qualifier, and then the 3 races. The only little issue is that fast lap race, people can come in and put rubber on. The fast lap of the race is designed to, if you had an issue in qualifying and you didn't even get a lap, you're at least able to use your race laps to try to get some, maybe a little bit of pace to be able to work your way forward, not be starting last in all 3 races.
Exactly right.
But there is some strategy to be played, and we've seen that Jay Howard and Peter Dempsey from Turn 3 Motorsport doing that with Dylan Christie. He's not going to do it with Josh Green. Green currently sitting in the 11th spot, 7th in points, and a really good battle here, 6th, 7th, 8th. And 9th, all separated by just 8 points. Kohlbecker, Green, Nepfu, and Campbell, just 8 points separated there.
Brown Garrido beginning to eke out a little bit of a lead over Thomas Nepfu as he's opened up almost a second now over the 5th place runner. Billy Frazier about a half a second back. Nolan Siegel right on Frazier. Siegel might be looking for that 6th spot before this is all over. And was also looking at Josh Green. He was right behind Chase Denmark. He's lost a little ground on this lap as he was about 2/10 behind Denmark on the last lap. But this time he's not quite as close. Josh Pearson, however, is the battle of the Joshes. They're at 11 and 12. Looks like a good one as those two about 0.3 of a second apart. And Prescott Campbell not far back. He's trying to redeem himself after that tough first lap incident yesterday.
Billy Frazier really putting together a nice weekend here. As we said, he's been kind of the guy that's been just outside the top 10, kind of where he's been kind of running throughout the season. And again, a 4th yesterday, a 6th place today. I like what Frazier's doing here. It's nice for a young driver like that who's maybe had some issues, got down on himself a little bit, to be able to put together a really strong weekend and remember why he's here, right?
Yes, exactly.
You have the ability to do this. He was the New Zealand Formula 4 champion as well before coming here to the U.S. And, of course, think about it, too. Young guy coming over from New Zealand, family's back home. Essentially, his team here, Exclusive Autosport, is the family when you're away. And Billy, I think this weekend, if he's able to put together 3 really good races, that's going to spell some really solid positivity for him looking forward to New Jersey.
Exactly right. Success breeds confidence.
It does.
That's the kind of thing that these drivers are all looking for. As we look at the lap times, D'Orlando a 10th quicker that lap. He's got it down to about 0.3 of a second, and we're right at the same time this happened yesterday. So Kiko Porto's got to hold on for another 3.5 laps to maintain his pole position and make it a flag-to-flag win for him.
Yeah, never say die for D'Orlando, still pushing hard, trying to get himself up there. Christian Brooks having a handle here with Chase Denmark as well. That's a little further back. That's for 9th and 10th. But, yeah, laps winding down, 16 in the books, 4 laps remaining. And we're checking out the battle we're going to have here for the lead. You can see how close it was coming up through turn 5 as he is essentially right on the gearbox. Michael D'Orlando looking to go back-to-back, having won earlier this year at Lucas Oil Raceway, but the victory yesterday bringing him to within 33 points of Kiko Porto. Porto trying to return the favor and steal that win that he was robbed of yesterday when D'Orlando made that amazing move around the outside at turn number 4, was able to get it to stick. And here are your leaders now. They'll work their way down into the carousel. That's Kiko Porto in the white and blue D-Force machine, working the curbing, coming through turn number 12 and 13. He's going to get up on the wheel right now, lead back to 0.4 of a second. D'Orlando trying to line him up.
3 laps to go for Kiko Porto. D'Orlando 0.4 of a second back, then it's about 3.5 seconds back to Simon Sykes. He's had kind of a lonely third since the early stages of this race. Same thing for Matt Round Garrido as he's pulled away from Thomas Nepfu. He's got no challenge on from the front or the back right now.
And again, just like yesterday, the primary fight is for Porto and D'Orlando and Fraser and Siegel. Essentially the 2 scraps we watched yesterday. It was 1st and 2nd and 4th and 5th yesterday. 1st and 2nd, 6th and 7th today. Fraser 6th, Siegel in 7th.
And Kohlbecker not far behind. Brooks right behind him. Denmark right behind him. So that's a kind of a 4-way battle right now. But again, it's kind of tough when the cars are so evenly matched, the drivers' skill levels so evenly matched. It's tough to find that decisive moment when they can make a pass here.
And that's it. We try to teach patience, and you got to be smart, especially coming into the final couple of laps of any race. You're really going to work. This is when all the studying you've done on the driver in front of you, as you kind of bided your time, you were being patient, you were finding out where you may have been faster. Does he make any mistakes somewhere that I can capitalize on? You've gone to school on your competition. This is when you now need to plan it for 3 laps to go. You got to set yourself up. But I'll tell you, that's not happening right now. But actually, this is the battle here. Fantastic fight. That's Billy Fraser. That's the scrap there for 6th and 7th position. Fraser trying to hold off Nolan Siegel as they come onto the front straightaway. What I was going to say was the fact that Kiko Porto is trying to take this into his own hands, right? He doesn't want to let D'Orlando get close at all. He's been inching away slowly, about 1/10 of a second over the last couple of laps. John, almost 6/10 of a second as they crossed the line last time by.
White flag next time by. Kiko's pulled the pin. He's trying to get get an unbreakable lead here, and he's got about 6/10 at the line.
That was a move by Nolan Siegel trying to go to the outside of Fraser in turn 2, and that allowed Kohlbecker to stick his nose in there as well. Kohlbecker's now got Brooks right behind him. Turn 4 is going to be interesting here, I think. A couple drivers lining up. Yeah, let's go 2 wide. That's what I thought. That's 4th, 5th. It's Siegel trying to find the outside on Billy Fraser. Does he hold the spot? Indeed he does. He's going to go into the position. And Brooks going to the inside as well of Kohlbecker. Big wide run around the outside for Brooks. He's going to potentially move a spot up. Look at this scrap here coming over madness, John. This is what we're talking about in USF 2000. Late race scrap. Ooh, 2 drivers side by side coming through turn 9. Yeah, one's going to go 2 wheels off. That's a battle further back. That's Kohlbecker now, I think, scrapping it out with either Josh Green or Jace Denmark.
White
Last
flag
lap.
in the air.
There it is indeed. Now it's Billy Fraser. He's gone back to 7th. 8th is Brooks. So Siegel able to get by with a really nice run. Another outside run down into turn number 4, similar to what we saw from D'Orlando yesterday.
Yeah, here we are on the final lap. D'Orlando's made up a little of the ground he's lost. He was a couple tenths quicker on that last lap. This will be his final opportunity to see if he can do anything with our leader, Kiko Porto.
Final lap of action in USF 2000, the second of 3 races for the first rung of the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. These drivers all racing for the scholarship to go Indy Pro 2000 racing in 2022. Drivers spinning over in turn number 2. We've got a driver who's gone around in turn number 2, the bottom of the keyhole, back on the throttle, getting rolling again. Not quite sure who that was deep in the field, but there's that battle for 1st and 2nd. We can key back on that one. Here it is through turn number 6. This is D'Orlando throwing everything he can at Kiko Porto as they come over turn number 7. Look at this, Porto trying to hold him off to come even on wins there because, again, like you said, D'Orlando, a strong victory yesterday. Porto with a good run out of turn 9. Really only one more shot at it now if he throws it to the inside of the carousel, but I don't think that D'Orlando would want to make that mistake. A good weekend so far for the New Yorker as they come through. And indeed, out of 12 through 13, getting the win here at Mid-Ohio for D-Force Racing. Race 2 winner, Kiko Porto. D'Orlando coming home in 2nd, and another 3rd place finish for Simon Sykes. Tremendous run for Simon. Matt Round-Garrido is 4th. Thomas Nepfu 5th. Nolan Siegel, race-long, relentless pressure on Fraser, capitalizes on the penultimate lap as he's able to get by Fraser. Brooks able to take advantage as well. He moves by Denmark to go to 8th. And as I said, Jace Denmark at 9th and Josh Green 10th. And a driver off here, that's Kent Vaccaro, who has gone off the racetrack in the number 16 machine. Vaccaro back up onto the asphalt.
Looks like he'll still hang on to 21st position.
Indeed, trying to figure out which driver that might have been that spun in turn number 2. Kind of hard to pick that up at this point here, but nonetheless, kind of train racing for a lot of it. Drivers just not able to make anything happen. Well, then Nolan Siegel decided, hey, you know what? I'm ready to go. And I'm going to make the move around the outside. A great move for Nolan Siegel. And you go around the outside of 4. You got the inside of 5. And shout out to Billy Fraser for giving him the room as well. There's no need to battle it too much and lose the spot. But he was able to get a good run out of 5 to even hold off his teammate Brooks, who had made the move by
Brooks and Kohlbecker were side by side, and Brooks got the better of that. Kohlbecker dropped back to 11th after that was all over.
And that happens, right, when you get hung out to dry like that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You get freight trained, especially as running as close together as that field was.
So again, folks, wrapping things up, let's give you the top 10 rundown here in the drivers of the Cooper Tires USF 2000 GP of Mid-Ohio, race number 2. Race 3, of course, going tomorrow at 8:05 in the morning. We'll have all 3 of the series for you tomorrow morning. Kiko Porto with the win. D'Orlando 2nd, Sykes 3rd, Round-Garrido 4th, and Thomas Nepfu 5th. John, I'll head down to Tatis Victory Lane. I'll let you give the order when they bring up. I know they'll show the entire running order for those watching it at home. I'll let you handle that, but it's time to go pass out some hardware.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Rob. Rob's on his way down to Victory Circle. As we've got 2 more sessions to go today, the NTT IndyCar's out next up for their final race, or their final practice, should we say, prior to tomorrow's Honda Indy 200. They'll have 30 minutes to work out the final kinks, and then we'll round out the day with the Indy Lights race number 1 as Kiko Porto brings the number 12 into victory circle. As he climbs out, he'll celebrate for the cameras. Michael D'Orlando, yesterday's winner. Simon Sykes coming home third. Sykes just missing out on the podium yesterday as, excuse me, no, he finished on the podium yesterday. Billy Frazier finishing in fourth. So here's your unofficial results. Kiko Porto, the winner in a flag-to-flag victory from the pole. Michael D'Orlando put the pressure on at the end, but not able to make the pass. Simon Sykes comes home slightly further back in third, and then a big gap back to Matt Round Garrido, who led the rest of the parade around. That's a good improvement for Matt. He finished 8th yesterday. Thomas Neptho on a little bit of a scrum at the final lap, able to get through into 5th position. Nolan Siegel, Billy Frazier, Christian Brooks, Jay Stenmark, and Josh Green rounding out the top 10. As you see these live pictures from down in Victory Circle,